So yesterday we have seen how memory leak will happen, and today we'll see how to restrict that. The first thing, in my real-time scenario, when I'm doing something, so suppose in a view controller, I'll define a variable, something called username. And going forward, this variable, whatever I have defined, this variable I may require in other classes. Suppose if I have other classes. So second class I'm creating. So the variable I have created in view controller class, and the same thing I required in second view controller and a third view controller. Now what I have to do? In the second view controller, if I require that variable, first I have to create a memory for that. So I should create a reference, I should initialize the view controller. So here the memory allocates once. One time memory allocation happened for my view controller, then using this memory I can access this. So memory allocation happened because I require this username here. The same thing I required in my third view controller also. So in the third view controller also, I have to do the same scenarios. So I have done the same scenario. So here what happens, to the same class, memory will be allocated once again because this is not the same reference I am using. This I have created one more variable for my view controller. So what happened for this instance, one memory will be created. For this instance, one more memory will be created. If I require in multiple classes, suppose if I have 10 classes, in the 10 classes, I require my username. So 10 times memory allocation should happen. If one time memory allocation cost 1 MB, 10 times what happens, it will allocate 10 MB for the same class. I'm having a single class, and for the single variable, I'm creating unnecessarily 10 MB of memory. So for this, what we have to follow? So for this, we have some design patterns. The first design pattern we call as a singleton pattern. Not only in this language, if you take any language, if you take .NET, Java, any language, the basic design pattern is nothing but a singleton. So singleton basically we say as a design pattern that must and should in a, what is the project? It can be any language project. In any language project, the first thing they create is a one singleton class. In an application, I can create number of singleton classes. There is no restriction. If I have this application, I can create number of singleton classes. So the first thing, what I should follow, what it will do for me. The basic use of singleton pattern, this will allocate this class. So singleton basically is a class. This class it will allocate this class. What is the class I'm having? This will allocate memory only once throughout the application. So throughout the project, what is the project you are having? Throughout the project, only once. If I try to allocate once again, so now if user if my user, if I don't know, so I've recently joined in the project, I don't know that there is a singleton class, I'm trying to allocate this again. So what happens, it will immediately throw the error because it is already initialized use the same memory. I cannot allocate a separate memory. So how I can design this singleton class? Whenever you want to go for this in interview, I'm telling again, in the interview, this is the definite 100% question. They will ask you to write the syntax, and they will ask you to explain each and every keyword. What is the keyword you are using, why we are writing the keyword, that we should explain. So now first, if I want to create a single class, create one separate file. I want to create one empty file, so I don't want any class. So these are the built-in classes. I don't want any built-in class. I want to create my own class. So new file, create one empty file. So to create empty file, go to Swift. If I want to create a view controller, go to Cocoa Touch. Next, name it something. So this is sample singleton. In a real time, what they follow is your application name, then they'll mention singleton, application name singleton. Create one empty file will be created here. So now the first thing what I have to do. So this entire things I'll copy there. First thing, it is a class. Now, if I want to make a singleton, the first thing I have to do is I have to create a class. When I want to create a class, I should name something. I named it as a sample singleton. Now I have a class. First, what I want to do. So first, what are the variable I have created? So this variable I want to use throughout the application. So the variable what you want as a global variable, make all this variable remove from the classes. So remove it from here and remove the references wherever you are mentioning. Add that variable in your singleton class. Now the variable what is the username, I want it in a 3 classes, so that I have kept it in a singleton class. Now if I want to access, first this is the class, inside this I have a variable. First I have to create a memory for this. So again the problem is, if I create a memory, then only I can access. So where I should create a memory? You should not create memory in any other classes. Create a memory for this in the same class. Create instance for this. So in the same class I can create the same class instance. So I am using the let keyword. Why I am using let keyword means no one should not change my variable value. So let my variable name. So not only here, whenever you want to create a variable instance, singleton instance, always make it as a shared instance. Not only here, in an application, in Xcode, we have some built-in singleton classes. In all those, whenever I'm accessing, so I can see the keyword called shared keyword. Whenever in the real time you see the shared keyword, the particular class is nothing but a singleton class. So this is a blind thing. Now I want to create an instance for this. So my instance name, I'll give a shared instance. So here, what I want to take? I want to take a class memory into this instance. So usually, when I want to create a class, I'll create it this way. Now, inside the class itself, I have created a class memory. Now, my sample singleton, if I want to access, now onwards, I can use this variable. Using this variable, I can access this. But now the problem, if I go to other class, if I want to create an instance, this class, what is the view controller? It is allowing me to create one more instance. So here I have already created an instance. In a sample singleton, I have already created an instance, and I should not allow any other class to create one more. So for this, what I'll do, what are the class I'm having here? This class, I will make it as a private initializer. So what are the class I have defined? Now the same class I made it as a private initializer. So only up to this class I can initialize. If any other class try to initialize me, I will throw the error. Now go back to the view controller. Here I am getting error. So the same thing it will show. So you cannot initialize once again, and you cannot access this also. Why I cannot access this? The initializer I made it as a private. So no other outside class cannot initialize me. Now the one thing is done. So this step, whatever I have created, if user try to allocate once again, it will throw the error. And this class allocate a memory only once. So this is a memory allocation. Memory allocation happen only once. It is not allowing other classes to create. Now, how I can access this username? If I want to access a username, here there is a memory, I can access this. But if I want to access, this is also a variable. If I see normally, this is also one variable. I am creating using the let keyword. If I want to access this, again I have to create a memory for this. So in the properties, what we have seen a stored property and a, sorry, in the properties we have seen a instance property and a type property. So now this is a instance property. So if I want to access this instance property, I have to create an instance for this, then I can access. And apart from instance, we have seen one more property called a type property. Type property, if I want to access, I don't need to initialize this. Just use your class name, then access this. So now, if I want to make it a type property, with the static keyword. So this we have seen in the properties. How to create an instance property, how to create a type property. Now onwards, it is not an instance property, it will become a type property. Now, if I want to access this, I don't need to initialize this one. I can directly call my class name, then my instance name. Now, if I want to access a username, where it is defined. So to access a memory, I have to access this. If I want to access this, I should refer this. My class name sample singleton. So in a sample singleton, I have only one variable. It is a type property. So here, if I see to the singleton, I'm not allocating any memory. So if I do this, then it will allocate a memory. I'm not giving any initializer. I'm just referring to my instance. Then what variable we have defined here. So this is how in a real time we can create a singleton classes, and in the single classes you can define any variable. If I want to define some function, some common functions, I want to reuse my code. So common function can be anything. Let's say a global function. If I want to access this global function in many classes, so the same thing. Can access username, I can access global function, call the global function. So here what happens, this line of code not creating any memory again for the sample singleton. So how the memory allocated? First it will go to sample singleton class. Now it is coming here. Then I have a shared instance. So what it means? This shared instance is having the class memory. Now I have to refer this if I want to access any of this. Now how I can access this username now? Because this shared instance is having entire class memory here. Nothing but this entire class, whatever is there, will be now in my variable called shared instance. Now using this, I can access a username, I can access a global function, you can define number of variables here. So now I'm making it as a let keyword. So no other people should come here and should not change the value of this. So I'm making the let keyword. Then again I'm writing my own initializer. Here in the initializer I'm not doing anything. Still I'm making it as a private. Why means no other class if I don't make it private. If I'm not writing anything here, other classes can come and initialize a memory for this. So now can come and can initialize a memory for my sample singleton, and my application will not throw any error if they create, because this is the when I'm doing this, a default initializer is taking care to initialize a memory here. So that is the reason I'm writing my designated initializer and I'm making this as a private. Now immediately I'll get an error. So this is a simple process to create a singleton, but you have to be very careful. This will give application a global access. Now my application, if I have 100 classes, my 100 classes can access a username. So you have to make sure when something is useful globally, nothing but throughout the application, only those variables and those functions you add in a single class. If you want to restrict something as a private, go and declare even private classes in your own classes. So this is the singleton thing, and you have to write a code all this. So what are the lines of code? So forget about these two. You have to write code for this thing, and here you have to explain why you are making it as a static. Because if I don't make it static, it will become an instance property, and instance property I cannot allocate without creating once again a memory for this. So I'm creating this as a static property, nothing but a type property. Let keyword. I don't want to change the value again and again, so I'm making it as a let keyword. And my variable name. Into this variable, I'm taking the memory of my class here. Now, in this variable, I have my entire class memory. If I create 100 variables, 100 functions, all the 100 variables, 100 functions, I can access using this variable. So I'm creating a variable and I'm allocating memory for here. Then I'm making it as a private initializer, so other classes should not create a memory once again. Any dots in this single and class? And Nikhil and Sukant, do you have any dots here?
No, but here for the first time we made the instant as static, right?
Yes.
So like, so we made it static. So can we make it as final so that we want that it shouldn't be editable, or it shouldn't, no other class should create any instance for
No.
that, right?
When you make it final, it's still a instance property. It will not become a type property. If I make it final, okay, now it is not a instance property. Sorry, type property. It is still instance property. If I want access, again I have to create a memory for this. When I create memory also, I cannot access because it is a final thing. So the rule of final, whoever wants to access, if they inherit, they cannot access this. Now here, if I go here, it will throwing error instance member. So my sample singleton is instance member, and here I have a shared instance. I cannot access this. Always it will say instance members can be accessed by creating instance. Now how I can access this? By creating a memory, I can access. So here again we'll throw the error. You have a so the instance member, whatever shared instance you are creating, you cannot access here. So that is the reason we are creating a memory for this inside the class only. So here I have created a memory, and now it is in the variable. Now if I want access, it should be a type property. So to make a type property for the class, I am using the static keyword.
So throughout this project, it will having only one object, means one
Yes,
reference, right?
yeah, only this reference. Throughout the application,
Yeah.
this will have the memory for my class.
Okay.
So the same thing we have seen the class and structure. So if I go to class and structure, so here we have declared what is the instance property and what is the type property. So everything here is connected between all the classes. So in a class, I have two variables. One is an instance property, one is a type property. If I want to access a Z variable, so if I want to access a Z, first I have to create a memory for the class, then I can access. Now I have one more variable Z1. Z1 is a type property. If I want access to Z1, now I can directly use my class name, then access this. So the same thing we have used in my application. So I made it as a type property, so I can access directly using my class name. I don't need to create a memory for this again. Clear?
Yes.
Any other doubts in the singleton class?
Will set and did set works with this if we want to change any variables or something.
Yeah, you can change. So anyway, this is a stored property. You can write your will set and you can write your did set. But my thing, if you want to change, I have given the let keyword here. So when I give let
We
keyword,
can't change.
I cannot change at all. So only I'm giving the let keyword.
And we
Plus-
can't have any other variable than let. We can't have var in this.
No, I can write a var here. But the problem, if I write a var, now what I'm doing, I'm taking the memory here. Into this instance, I'm taking all the class memory. If I change further in application also, the memory will be changed. Now, then onwards, I cannot access. Now I'm making it as a shared instance for the single class. Then onwards, I can do one more class, and the one more class installation I can pass here. Now, what happens? It will lose this class memory. What is the class now I'm having? It will lose this class memory and it will have the other class memory.
Okay, so I got it.
Yeah. So only we don't want to change the value for this. We are giving a let keyword. Any other doubts here?
No, simultaneous means we can create only one time.
Memory. So one time memory allocation happened. So this class. So here always the singleton should be a class only. It should not be a structure or a enum. So I'm creating a class and a class, and how it will allocate memory only once. So the class memory, what is the class I'm having? The class memory I'm taking inside my class only. So this is my class. Inside the class I have a class memory. Now if I want to access this, it is a type instance property. As if I create this one, it will be the instance property. So I cannot access without creating a memory again. Now my requirement, I don't want to create a memory once again. So only I made it as a type property. Then other classes should not initialize me once again. So my initializer, I made it as a private. So this is one of the basic design pattern, and in all languages they follow this the first thing.